Welcome to another episode of Shane Solomon Meets, brought to you by the Cornwall Channel, and today I'm meeting the wonderful Ian Calvert from Wildanet. So Ian, welcome to the Cornwall Channel studios. How are you today?
Good, thanks. Yeah, nice to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, I've been aware of your company for quite some time now, and you are doing amazing things, but I want to know the history of it, and we'll tell you how you're solving Cornwall's problems here with the connectivity to the World Wide Web. But how did it all start for you?
Well, it started based upon an idea of going back about 25 years ago when I was doing a project in Cornwall for NTL, who is a company I worked for in those days. And we noticed in 1995-ish that there was virtually no broadband in Cornwall in certain rural areas.
I remember it.
And then I came back and did a project in 2016, which was involved Goonhilly. And lo and behold, not much had changed. And I thought, do you know, it's about the time of my life I could probably do something about this. And to cut a long story short, I was delivering some circuits into Goonhilly through a consultancy that I was doing. And I asked them what they were going to do with the bandwidth that we were putting in. They said, we're going after deep space stuff. I said, well, you know, that's going to take a while. You've got some bandwidth spare. Can I sell some of it? And that's how it all started. They said yes. I thought, right, okay, we're on. I'm going to start the company. Started that in January 2017. And it took us about 9 months to get going. By the time I'd finished the consultancy, got the business plan together, got the funding together, got the guys together. And I went out and spoke to a few of my old friends from NTL days. NTL, which of course is Virgin today.
Yeah.
And within literally 2 minutes of speaking to them, they had decided that they wanted to join in. And so with myself, Barry, Paddy, Charlie, we put the company together, decided how we were going to deliver it, where we were going to start, and where we were going to trial it. The first trial actually was in a place called Greek. Do you know Greek?
I've heard of Greek. I haven't been there for a while, actually.
All roads lead to Greek, actually, but sorry.
No, that's good.
Yeah, and very topographically challenged place. So we thought, well, okay, we're going to roll out a fixed wireless network because that was the way we decided that would be best served because it's so topographically challenged. And then we decided that Greek was probably the most topographically challenged close to us.
Yeah.
And after about 3 months of working it out and working it through into Greek, we decided that actually this is going to work. If we can do it here, we can do it anywhere. And while we were doing that, we still kept on building a network out into Cornwall. And once we'd completed the proof of concept, do you want me to stop, by the way?
No, I don't want you to stop.
Okay. So once we'd started building this network out, we thought, okay, we are actually going to need some more money to do this now. So we'd proven the concept. Okay, it works. We've got customers. There's plenty of customers out there who are all paying for it. They're all happy about the additional bandwidth they're getting because we're providing them with up to gigabit services now, which is marvelous if you're only on a few megabits.
Absolutely, life-changing into internet terms.
Yeah, and so we went back out to the market and said, look, we need some more money, and they very kindly gave it to us. I mean, it took a few months. That got us going. That got us up to about 20 people. And we were carrying on and pushing out the network. And literally within 4 months, we went from having what we call passings. So we could pass premises. So we call them passings. So we had about 8,000 passings when we started raising the money. And literally, once we'd raised the money, 3 months later, we had nearly 50,000 passings. So we could serve at that point about 20% of Cornwall, which was bizarre, within 3 or 4 months. And so that really got us fired up. We got really ramped up and got going. And then there was a period of time where, I don't know if you've heard this, but there were a lot of other companies similar to ourselves who were raising huge amounts of money. And we were conscious of this. And we thought, look, we need to protect our patch here in Cornwall. If we carry on and build a wireless network, that means anybody that's going to build fibre could overbuild us. Right. And we just thought that's a bit of a risk. We need to sort of prepare for this. And so we went out to funders that we knew and said, look, if we do this, are you going to help us? And they said, yeah, we'll help you. So what we did is put a deal together, package it up, took it out to the market and said, right, whoever wants to invest in this, please put your hand up. We selected from those one of those, which is an outfit called Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
Gresham, literally around Christmas of this year, so last year, decided that we were worth investing in, and invested over £50 million in us. So that has allowed us now to carry on and build this network around the rest of Cornwall. And on that basis, we're rolling out fibre as well. So we're doing fibre and fixed wireless. We do a bit of 4G. And we do whatever's necessary to get to the people, because our whole ethos around this was actually making sure that we got to the hard-to-reach areas that BT and others weren't serving. And of course, if you think that the digital market started about 25 to 30 years ago, those people have already been left behind. There's another drive going on now across, as you know, that they want to connect everybody up in the country to gigabit broadband by 2025. And those people in those areas, unless people like us come along and do this, are still in danger of being left behind. And we call that the digital desert. They will be left in a digital desert unless people like us do this.
I find it amazing that that you are doing this, because the thing growing up with the internet myself, it's always been that restricted thing here in Cornwall for sure. And even now it surprises me. I'm very fortunate. I have a very good connection at where I live, but there's still so many places where my mum lives, for example, it's not so good there, which isn't that far away from me. But you go to places and you think this is terrible speeds.
Yeah, and I think you'll be surprised to know that out of about 257,000 houses in Cornwall, about 90 to 100,000 of those are still without decent broadband.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people.
So there must be people all the time crying out for you. That there must be a huge demand. You've got a lot of work to do here.
We have a lot of work to do, but of course it's a bit like a Meccano set. You're constantly joining it and building it and building it, and it's a real frustration that we can't be where people, where there is a demand. People are crying out for us. We can't get there quick enough, and it's a bit of a problem for us. But we are just pushing on. And within the next 2 years, we should have most of Cornwall covered. So, you're looking at then a network that will be our own. It's outside of BT's network, and it's, a choice now. You've got a choice in Cornwall, which I don't think you've really had down here for a while.
No, absolutely. No. I need to ask the question, apart from the obvious, which the benefit of someone having this in the house through you is greater speeds, but there's a huge knock-on effect for the communities of Cornwall too with what you're doing, isn't there? So talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, so we're very conscious, and we didn't want anybody to be left behind here. So we're very focused on the community and making sure that we're working with them and around them and making sure that we're doing stuff that they need. And we know they want broadband. That's the easy bit. We know they need that. But it's how can we impact them? Well, since we started, we've created over 80 jobs, and all of those are Cornish jobs.
Amazing.
We're in 2 places at the moment. We've got offices in Redruth and offices in Liskeard. Redruth is really a satellite office, so regional office. Liskeard is our main headquarters, and we've just taken on an ex-council building. Well, it's still a council building, sorry. We've just taken a lease on it, and we are refurbishing it into our headquarters. And so between that job, our contractors now, so we've got 80 permanent staff, we're creating about another 300 jobs indirectly through those contractors. So we're having quite a bit of an impact, and quite a lot in Liskeard, which is good news. We're out working with the schools. We're talking to the schools now. We're one of the only providers of the Janet network in the UK. There's only about 4 of us, I think, that actually are able to resell the Janet network. This is the joint academic network that connects all of the universities together.
Okay.
And there's only 4 commercial resellers of that, as far as I'm aware, unless that's changed recently. But we're only one of them in Cornwall, and we can give all the benefits that brings to the community as well. So it's a research network. So if we can get schools onto it, they can access a community of 18 million people that are providing research input into that. So they're doing papers on different research that go into that community, which the schools could access. So there's those sort of benefits. And then, of course, we are working to make sure that nobody's excluded from the digital world. They call that digital inclusion. You've probably heard of that recently, but digital inclusion is a big problem. You know, there are a lot of people in Cornwall especially. I mean, there's 62,000 people that I know. I don't know personally, but I know that there's about 62,000 people in Cornwall that have never turned on a PC. That's quite remarkable in this day and age, isn't it? When you think actually you can't do anything now, you can't get a repeat prescription unless you do it online, you can't get your TV license unless you do it online, you can't do anything unless it's online. So there are a lot of people that are in danger of being excluded by virtue of the fact that they potentially can't afford a device, can't afford the broadband, can't get access to it because of where they are, and so on. So we're really conscious of this. So what we're doing is we're connecting up village halls as we go for free. And in the village halls, we're bringing in partners like the NHS, Barclays Bank, Digital Eagles, Citizens Advice Bureau, Adult Education, Plymouth University involved in that as well, and bringing all these things into one place so that if you are excluded in any way, you can at least go to the village hall and pick all this up for free. So if you can't get a qualification because you can't afford, say, adult education, you can go into the village hall, pick it up, and learn and upskill yourself so that you can improve your chances out in the job world. So, you know, this is just part of what we do. We're also sponsoring people locally. We do a lot of sponsoring, provide quite a few free circuits. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but free circuits to good causes.
Sure.
And we sponsor Liscar Radio, for instance. You know.
Oh, brilliant.
And there's a whole raft of other things that we've got planned that you'll start seeing as we go on from now. Because as we're growing, you know, we are growing and we want to do more.
Well, maybe a little bit with a local TV channel online, I don't know, something like that. But seriously, though, I mean, 80 people all locally employed, that's a huge deal right now, especially that everything we've gone through. What sort of skills are we looking at there? I'm imagining engineers, you know, technical people.
So we're taking people from almost school age and training some of them to be engineers or techies in some description, because we need, like everybody needs coders these days. So coding is a good place to start, a good opportunity for any youngster really, because most youngsters understand how to code anyway. So it's a good place to start for them. A lot of engineers, a lot of salespeople, a lot of support people, delivery people, you know, construction people. It's a big operation now, and as I say, we've got subcontractors that help us, and there's about 150 of those people working on the network at any one time. So there's good opportunities for roles with Wildanet, and we've got a big HR department now that's looking to get that message out there and make sure, you know, we want to be known as a good recruiter. The fact that there's a good opportunity for, you know, advancement in the company, and you know, good opportunities within the company. So, you know, we're plugging away at that as we speak. Yeah,
well, I see your company as like a superhero of companies because, you know, a modern day world. I know my Nan would hate me for saying it, but you know, she said, "We don't need the internet or Tinternet, whatever Peter Kay's Nan calls it." But we do. The reality is, the world's changing, and you just got to go with it. And it's evolved into this massive thing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the generation without it at the moment, without the internet at the moment, are the last generation that will be without it, because everybody, you know, is going to be on it for whatever they do. And, you know, and this COVID period has taught us, if it's taught us anything, it's that, you know, you can do so much more by even video conferencing.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Why do you need to drive a car if you can actually do all this online?
Yeah. And I've had conversations with the local Chamber of Commerce about this, but, you know, if you had like a hybrid way of working, so you still do that kind of online stuff, but for today, this kind of thing works. You never beat that face-to-face, but you was down here anyway for your company and things like that, so you was able to pop into the studio and things like that. Yeah. But, yeah, you can do a hybrid of things. I would hate to see the day where everything goes online. I don't think it's going to be completely possible.
You and me both. I think that would be a shame to lose that contact between the people. I mean, we've got a very flexible way of working because we're technology biased, of course. So a lot of people work from home, and a lot of people come into the office, and we mix and match that. We don't get too many visitors these days, which is, I think, a bit of a difference over the last couple of years. But, you know, we get people coming in at all times, you know, and we've got the capacity, especially with the new offices now, to accommodate all of this if they all came in at once, if you see what I mean.
Well, if you want to give your address out right now, I can guarantee we'll get you. No, don't do that.
But just on that, actually, we are going to. Part of what we plan to do is to support some local youngster startups.
Okay.
So we're going to have some space dedicated to youngsters. Anybody that's starting up a company, and they can come to us. And if we've got some criteria that we're going to set, which is mostly around the technical side of this, but we want to help those young companies get away.
It's like a little dragon's den.
Almost, yeah. And we think that, we will have, 4 or 5 desks at least that we can let out on that basis, And when I say let out, probably be for fairly low cost to help these guys.
See, the thing is, Ian, I'm looking at the time code on our recording here, and I could talk to you for hours. And I know it's one of these things, and I know your time's precious, all our time's precious, but we can't leave it here. I'm hoping that we can touch base again and just, every 6 months, every 12 months or something, just with yourself as the kind of deputy chair and co-founder of Wildanet. So this has been fascinating to meet you today.
Thank you.
Because it's quite groundbreaking, what you're doing. Because when I was speaking to Simon, a big shout out to Simon and Lawrence, actually, 2 of your sales guys, then, if you like, because Simon said you've got to meet, Ian, you've got to meet him, and I'm like, okay, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Well, I'm glad they did, actually. Yeah, I'm really glad to meet you, because I think there's a whole raft of things and messaging that we want to get out. So it'd be great to sort of keep this sort of thing going.
I'd just like to see the Wildanet show or something like that, and bringing people in from local sports clubs or the radio station, whatever. It can be as much as you want it to be, really. Is there anything you want to add that I've not asked you about at the moment? Anything that's going on that you wanted to shout out about as well? Or I
think it's worth pointing out that this is a massive investment for Cornwall, for us and for everybody in Cornwall, because ultimately it means that nearly 100 million will be being spent in Cornwall. So that's it's going to affect everybody. We've affected. I'll give you an example of a farmer we affected. He was the first farmer we took on. He was spending 4 hours at his PC every day, which is a fairly antiquated PC. Sorry, Andy. And it was a fairly antiquated PC, but he was spending about 4 hours a day trying to download his milking information. Now that's half his day. Well, it's probably not actually for a farmer, but as soon as we put in the broadband, he literally is able to do it instantly, and his whole life has changed. And we are definitely having that sort of impact on a lot of people across Cornwall, which is great to see. It's really fulfilling, and you feel like you're doing something worthwhile around all this. But our plans are to get to as many people as we can, and there will be, because of our hybrid nature, we are able to get to most people. There's always going to be somebody that we can't, for whatever reason, get to because the limitations of the technology. But we're always trying to get to everybody. So as I said earlier, our ethos is we're not going to leave people behind. We don't want a digital divide anywhere in Cornwall.
I like that. For people to find out more, the website address is
wildanet.com. It's fairly straightforward.
Okay.
And that's Wilda, that's Wildanet.
Wildanet, not Wilder. But then that was the other thing we spoke about quickly in the green room.
Yeah.
How the name came about.
Yeah, so the name was an interesting one, because when I set the company up, I just grabbed a name really and set it up and thought, okay, that's fine, we'll crack on and just get going. At least I had a company. But as soon as we started getting a bit more into it and the plans were developing, we went to see a marketing company. And they went, oh no, you can't use that name.
Oh, right.
So we said, okay, well, let's work up some suggestions. And one of them that they came up with was Wildanet. And what we did, and it was their advice actually, is stick it on the fridge, and walk past it for a few days, or that and the others, and see which one just springs out at you. And I think we all said at the end of it, Wildanet springs out. And it really was more about the fact that we are serving people in the rural areas, so the wilder areas of Cornwall, if you like, or the wilderness. And we're serving them with the internet. So it's Wildanet. That's how it really came about. And that is being built into a bigger brand now. So we are rebranding as we speak. You're going to see a new brand and new images coming out very shortly. I mean, very shortly. It's taken us a while, but it's very exciting at the moment. There's a lot happening and a lot of good stuff. And as I say, we are rolling out in your village very soon, I think.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Ian Calvert, make sure you connect with this man and follow his company, doing great things here in Cornwall and beyond. But that's for another episode, that is, when we talk about Devon. But yeah, enjoy your time down here again for the next few days where you're down visiting your company. And thank you very much for popping in.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.